With Kanye out here on Twitter exposing record labels left, right, and center, it got me thinking, what else do record labels do that's incredibly shady? And oh boy, did I find quite a bit. But are we really surprised? Hey, what's up everyone? It's Mackenzie here, and today on IO, I'm going to be filling you in on the top 10 music industry secrets you won't believe. And going through this list, I was just truly shocked that we hadn't done it before because of how much shady stuff these labels are doing right now, just out in the open. Like, it's honestly just pretty mind-blowing. And now it makes a lot of sense that a lot more artists than you think are independent and not working with any major label. But before I get into this juicy list, make sure to like and subscribe below. Also check out our playlist of other top 10s right up there, and follow the team on our socials to see more of us. Alright, now let's get into the tea spilling. And at number 10, we have the labels mistreat artists. So Kanye West has been recently leading the crusade against record labels, and he's exposing how artists don't make even close to the money that they deserve. The main reason is to do with the masters, and that's essentially the rights to the music that they make. So basically every time you hear a Kanye song in a movie, he hardly gets any money from it because the record label is the one that owns the song. In a ton of tweets over the last week, Kanye has been calling out Universal Music Group, demanding that he gets the opportunity to purchase his own masters. In one tweet saying that his children are gonna own the masters, not their children. He also posted his entire contract with Universal for the world to see, so a lawyer could help him get out of that contract. Then adding that artists are enslaved by their labels and make peanuts compared to what they should. And he's not even close to the only person who has spoken out against this, with Michael Jackson publicly calling Sony Records and then CEO Tommy Mottola a racist and saying that he is the devil, with his family later claiming that the record label is the reason he was dead. Also, Prince once performed with the word slave written on his face, so it's clear a lot of artists think they are slaves to their labels. And at number 9, marketing over talent. This is one I've realized so much as I've grown up, but it seems that most talented artists aren't always the ones on top. And honestly, some artists that I think are straight up terrible are somehow huge hits. Well, that's not by accident, and in the world of music, it's not those with the most talent that make the A-list stars, but rather those with the biggest marketing budgets, with the labels deciding everything about them, from how they look to even how they talk and the songs that they perform, with a lot of artists having entire personas that were made up for them. British singer-songwriter Morrissey ranted to Rolling Stone magazine, saying, quote, "There are no bands or singers who become successful without overwhelming marketing. There are no surprise success stories," adding that labels control the charts and true artistic freedom is basically dead, which, you know, isn't the greatest thing. And at number 8, stage fights. This is some piping hot tea for you guys. So you know how rappers always have beef with each other and how they always seem to get in these like huge fights? Well, a lot of that is actually a lie to just keep the artists relevant. So it looks like influencers are taking a page from that book, with one article hypothesizing that Nicki Minaj is the #1 person in the industry for fake beef, saying that a few years back when Nicki called Miley Cyrus a bitch at the MTV VMA Awards, it was all staged to bring more eyes to the show, with other people even thinking that her and Mariah Carey's beef on American Idol was also just staged for views. But honestly, a lot of that one looked real to me, so the jury's out for me on that one. And at number 7, payola. Payola is something that's been happening in the music industry for a long time, and it's the practice of a record label paying to stream a song or put it on the radio to boost play numbers and make it seem a lot more popular than it actually is. Tom Silverman, founder of Tommy Boy Records, talked about how record labels have been buying the #1 spot for years. He told Wired Mag, quote, "If they buy 50,000 songs, we're talking 50,000 less 70%, so it would cost about $15,000 for them to do that. For $15,000 in a week, they can buy 50,000 more song downloads, which could drive the record up 3 or 4 positions on the chart. And the hype of it all would make people believe it, and the next week it would be real, which is what always used to happen." And this makes a ton of sense to me, because if labels put a song on the charts, then real people will start listening, and if the people like it, the numbers will just get boosted even more. And the most recent time that this was talked about was when 6ix9ine and Ariana Grande were up for the #1 spot, but Ariana and Justin Bieber's song ended up taking the #1 spot, which 6ix9ine called out for being purchased. And at number 6, rumors sell records. This is similar to the last one, but PR and rumors sell records, not talent. Back in 2005, when Rihanna released her first single, Pon de Replay, she found herself in a scandal because people thought Jay-Z was cheating on Beyonce with Rihanna. This was because she was signed to Jay-Z's record label and they were photographed on tons of occasions together. Even though they both denied it, people still thought that it happened, until 2015 when one of Rihanna's old producers exposed that the rumor was created just to boost her career, with him saying he was desperate to sell records back then, and he was young and stupid. He said he's apologized to all parties, but you know, who knows if he's forgiven. Halfway through number 5, streaming services hardly pay. Plenty of artists have fought with the idea of having their music on streaming platforms like Spotify, like Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and Jay-Z, who were some of the last in the game to put their music on streaming services. But this is for a good reason, because these services pay next to nothing for the streams, with Avicii's Wake Me Up single getting 152 million streams on the site in its first year, while he was paid only $920,000. And I know that's obviously a lot of money, but in comparison to the amount of streams that it got, it's really not much. Taylor Swift is someone who has gone up against these streaming platforms, with her saying that they are the reason her sales are down, telling the Wall Street Journal, quote, "The price paid to artists for their music is too low. It's my opinion that music should not be free." And at number 4, fake followers. This one definitely isn't only in the music industry, but because image is so important in music, it happens to be the most there. Basically, tons of musical artists buy followers to make them look more popular than they are. And because of all the followers the artists have, websites have actually been set up to check if those followers are real or not. An expose released by Forbes investigated how many followers were actually real and active on Twitter. Surprisingly, the biggest faker was Shakira. Of her 37 million followers, only 21% are real and active. Another culprit is Katy Perry, and just 35% of her 83 million followers are actually real people. And at number 3, anybody can be dropped. Something a lot of people don't know is that even the biggest artists are under immense pressure, with every artist anxious for whatever album will be that one that puts their career on the downward trajectory. Even legendary singer Mariah Carey was dropped by her label at one point. In 2002, after her Glimmer album only sold around 500,000 copies, she was dropped because that was considered a flop for her label. But this had real serious consequences for Mariah, who ended up having a nervous breakdown because she thought her career was over. Thankfully, that of course wasn't true, and she signed to another label shortly after. But even Katy Perry and Lady Gaga have felt the burden of being dropped early on in their recording careers, so really it can happen to anyone. And at number 2, make no money. A lot of artists are coming forward telling the truth about music, and the overwhelming consensus is that they literally make no money. It seems at this point, if you want to make money from music, it might be time to consider another career, especially now with streaming. The only way artists make money is through touring, where the margins can be very slim. So the main way that musicians make money is through other ventures like merch, perfumes, or other product endorsements. Musicians are also paid a lot of money for appearances, but hey, they gotta pay their bills, so especially when they're just starting out, they gotta do whatever they gotta do, and that means showing up at a club for a paycheck. And finally, number 1, artists don't write. This is something that I didn't really realize until I was a teenager, but a majority of the biggest artists don't write their own songs, with CBS News reporting that most of them only contribute a word or two so that they get a writing credit even though it's not usually deserved. Which is basically like adding Parmesan cheese onto a pasta dish and receiving credit for the whole thing. But even worse, sometimes managers will ask for their singers to get co-writing credit on a song that they are buying from a songwriter and had literally no involvement in, with some songwriters throwing major shade by even naming some names. One songwriter accused Avril Lavigne of writing little that she's been credited for. Then Lauryn Hill was actually sued by the songwriting team that helped her create her 1998 record, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, after Hill claimed that she wrote most of the album herself, and I guess that wasn't fully true. Alright everyone, that's all for the list today. Let me know what you're thinking below. Which one was the most shocking to you? Mine was probably the fact that artists make so much less money because they don't own their masters, but it seems like Kanye is on a quest to change the industry for good, and honestly I hope he does. Obviously Taylor really started off that battle, you know, last year with Scooter Braun and her whole thing, so it's weird that they're both like there's kind of some irony in there that, you know, she was fighting so hard for her masters and now Kanye is. I mean, just interesting. But before I head out, I'm gonna shout out some comments from my video on Britney. So Audrey said, Britney has given us fans enough entertainment for 2 lifetimes. If she never records songs or goes on tours again, then she deserves every bit of relaxing normal life. I completely agree. I don't think she should do anything. I think she should fully retire. I'm hoping she has more than enough money to do that. She just doesn't need to, you know what I mean? She has a family. Just let her relax. I don't know what that says. So another user said, is he a reliable source though, since he would benefit from misusing Britney's conservatorship? I would like to hear a legal professional who's highly familiar with conservatorships that has no ties to the family. Yeah, I guess it's interesting because obviously him speaking up now that he doesn't think she'll work again, I mean that's not benefiting him, right? But who knows if he was being benefited a few years prior, you know, if her father was forcing her to perform. My thing is, how could you really force someone to perform though? That's the part I'm not too sure about. I mean, I'm sure you can, but it's a tough situation and you want to believe her manager, but I mean, obviously you don't know if he's reliable. Dr. Mantis Toboggan said, honestly, I love Brit so much. If she doesn't want to work anymore, I wouldn't blame her. I just want her to be happy. She deserves it. I think we can all say that. I just want her to do whatever she wants to do. Alright everyone, that is all for the video today. Thanks so much for sticking around. You've made it all the way here. I've been your host, Mackenzie Smith, and I'll see you in the next one.